Iga Swiatek is heading into the Miami Open this week high on confidence after dominating Maria Sakkari in the Indian Wells Finals 6-4, 6-love. Iga didn't drop more than 4 games in any of her 6 matches in Tennis Paradise, showcasing her dominance and proving that she has a solid shot at completing her second Sunshine Double sweep. It's really a question of whether anyone can stop Iga from winning Miami because, in all honesty, the field is looking kind of weak. One compelling story, though, is the return of Simona Halep. The former world number 1 will be playing her first tournament in over a year after her drug suspension was recently reduced to 9 months. Stay tuned to see where she falls in the draw. Hi, my name is Christian Bassnight and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Briefly looking at the projected quarterfinal matchups, there's Iga and Jessica Pegula, Coco Gauff versus Ons Jabeur, Sakkari against Elena Rybakina, and a possible rematch of the Australian Open final between Qinwen Zhang and Aryna Sabalenka. Petra Kvitova was the champion last year, but she's currently on maternity leave. Now, going over the draw, first starting with Iga's section, Italian Camila Giorgi could be her opening round opponent, and that could be really interesting. Camilla's a very hard hitter who can match Swiatek from the ground, and we do know that a lot of people who end up beating Swiatek are big power flat ball strikers. They haven't played since 2021. And then Iga once again could meet Linda Noskova in the 3rd round. These two played last week in the Indian Wells 3rd round where Iga kind of dominated that 1-6, 4-6 love. Noskova, of course, has beaten Swiatek this year actually at the Australian Open. Looking down Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova, she's been playing well recently. Her last 2 losses have come against Marta Kostyuk, so she'll be happy to not see the Ukrainian in her section. Pavlyuchenkova could face her compatriot Ekaterina Alexandrova in the 3rd round, and Alexandrova is guaranteed to have a tough opener in either Donna Vekic or Karolina Pliskova. Both of those women lost their opening round matches at Indian Wells, so they'll be looking to rebound nicely in Miami. I expect Iga to kind of move through here relatively comfortably in the quarterfinals, although she does need to be wary of Camila Giorgi should she face her in the 2nd round. Maybe Noskova too. She could be out for revenge in that 3rd round if she makes it there, but still, Swiatek should make it through to the quarterfinals. Next is Jessica Pegula's section, and she's the top seed here, but she would not be the favorite to come through in my opinion. I personally think that it'll be between fellow billionaire Emma Navarro or Dubai champion Jasmine Paolini. Navarro had an excellent showing at Indian Wells last week as she upset world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka en route to the quarterfinals. Paolini's brief win streak ended in the round of 16 at Indian Wells to Anastasia Potapova. Sonia Kenin is a potential 2nd round opponent for Jasmine, but the 2020 Aussie Open champ is on a 6-match losing streak. Talking now about Jessica, she will not be happy at all with her 2024 start. She's 6-4 on the year thus far, and she lost her Indian Wells opener against Anna Blinkova. This will be a pretty big tournament for Pegula. She plays well in Miami typically, as she's reached the semifinals the last 2 years. I don't think Leylah Fernandez will be too much of a threat for her in that 3rd round. The Canadian has only had 1 good result this year, which is when she made the Doha quarterfinals. Part of me wants to go with Jessica to make it out because I think that this can be the tournament where she truly turns her 2024 season around for the better. However, I think Emma Navarro will instead move through to make her 2nd consecutive 1,000 quarterfinal. As far as who could pose the biggest threat to Iga in this little section, possibly Pegula. Of course, Jessica beat her twice in 2023. Navarro has never played her, so that could be an intriguing matchup. And then Paolini last faced Iga at the 2022 US Open, where Iga routed her pretty comfortably. However, we do know that Jasmine is a different player now as opposed to then, so perhaps Paolini could challenge Swiatek too. Now, going over to Coco Gauff section, once again, Gauff is projected to face Naomi Osaka in the 4th round. But will we actually have this dream matchup? I don't know. Gauff could open against compatriot Ashlyn Kruger, who is a very talented player. Gauff could very well have another opening round battle on her hands, like she did against Clara Burrell at Indian Wells. The American Gauff could meet Marta Kostyuk in the 3rd round, which is a pretty tough matchup. Marta just made the Indian Wells semifinal, and she nearly ousted Coco at the Australian Open in the quarterfinals this year. In the bottom part, Naomi Osaka could face Elena Svitolina in the 2nd round, and Caroline Garcia yet again, should they both make the round of 32. Garcia really hasn't done much this season besides beat Osaka at the Australian Open, so I wouldn't even be surprised if she didn't make the 3rd round. Elena and Naomi's head-to-head is tied at 3 apiece, and those two have not played since 2019. This is a winnable matchup for Osaka, but she can't just resort to brainless ball bashing like she did against Elise Mertens at Indian Wells. Svitolina will make Naomi play a lot of balls, so the Japanese woman needs to be patient and attack only when she has a solid opening to do so. This is a pretty tough looking section for Coco. Kostyuk, Garcia, and Svitolina could all take her out if she is double fault prone or if that forehand is shakier than usual. However, like we saw in Melbourne and in Indian Wells, Gauff's draws tend to open up nicely for her, and the same can definitely happen here. And that's not her fault, by the way. She can only beat the players in front of her. Coco has never made it to the quarters in Miami, but an improvement I've noticed this past year is how she's used her home crowd to her advantage in the tight moments, which can truly make a big difference here. I think I will stick with Coco and making the quarterfinals here in Miami for the first time. 6th seed Ons Jabeur's section is one of the weaker ones in terms of potential title winners. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure that Kasatkina has it in her to win a 1000 right now, although her draw honestly is kind of favorable. We do have a spicy first round affair as Slam champions Sloane Stephens and Angelique Kerber meet in the first round. Kerber had a solid run at Indian Wells, making the 4th round, whereas Sloane has been decent all year but has just fallen shy of having that really one standout result. I think either one of them has a solid shot at taking down Sorana Cîrstea, who made the semifinals in Miami last year. Anastasia Potapova is there, and she has some good confidence right now as she made the Indian Wells quarterfinal. She made the quarters here in Miami last year, falling to Pegula in a 3-set thriller. Potapova, though, needs to be aware of Danielle Collins, who could be her opening round opponent. Ons Jabeur hasn't done anything really all year. A lot of that really is due to her having a nagging right knee problem. She lost her Indian Wells opener to 121st ranked Katie Volley-Nets. Jabeur maybe could do a little something here and turn her season around too, but I doubt it, to be honest. Both Russians, Elena Avanesian and Erika Andreeva, could be tricky for her too. I am giving the edge to Daria Kasatkina to come through and make the quarterfinals. Reigning Indian Wells finalist Maria Sakkari will have a tough opener in either Anna Pliskova, who's beaten Rybakina and Pegula this season, or Hugh Won, who won Austin and made the Indian Wells quarterfinals. If Maria is off her game a little bit, she can lose, which I do think will happen. Diana Yastremska is Sakkari's projected 3rd round opponent. The Ukrainian hasn't had any notable results since making the Australian Open semifinals earlier this year. Spare a thought too for Shuai Zhang, who's currently on an 18-match losing streak, which is the longest ever on the WTA Tour. The bottom part of this section is really interesting too, as Dubai finalist Anna Kalinskaya and 9th seed Yelena Ostapenko could meet in the 3rd round. Both of these two big ball strikers have won their last matches against Iga. Emma Raducanu could meet Kalinskaya in the 2nd round, which I think will happen. I wouldn't be surprised if the Brit went on a bit of a run here, as she's shown steady strides thus far in 2024. Ostapenko has had the best results overall this season, winning 2 500 titles, so she should be the favorite to come through, but she did fall to Kalinskaya and Dubai, so I don't know. I think that Yelena can do something decent in Miami though, so I will have her progress to the quarterfinals. Elena Rybakina's section is also very interesting, as at the top, Veronika Kudermetova and Madison Keys could duel in the 3rd round. However, there are 2 American wildcards I want to highlight. First, Haley Baptiste, who nearly ousted Keys at Indian Wells last week as she fumbled match point opportunities in that match. If she can get by Wong, I think that she can trouble Kudermetova. Meanwhile, Venus Williams returns to the 305 for the first time in 3 years, playing talented Russian lefty Diana Schneider. Schneider is the type of player that can really get you stretched wide and moving left and right, so I think this one will be an uphill battle for V. The winner of that match faces Madison, who lost in the 3rd round of Indian Wells to Yulia Putintseva. Elena Rybakina was the finalist last year in Miami, and she was unable to defend her Indian Wells crown due to illness. I think that she can be a big threat to Iga, although she lost her last match against the world number 1 and the Doha final. Apparently Rybakina is feeling much better now, which is good news for the tournament. She could open against American Caroline Dolehide, who upset Victoria Azarenka at Indian Wells. If Elena is healthy, which I think she is, she should get through this section and make the quarterfinals. Speaking of Azarenka, she is on upset alert, as she's guaranteed to get a tough first rounder in either Yafan Wong, who's been rising in the ranks this year, or talented young American Peyton Stearns, who nearly beat Aryna Sabalenka at Indian Wells. Australian Open finalist Qinwen Zheng is up top, but she's been a bit mid since that final run, and she needs to beware of tricky Czech Katerina Siniakova. This section is one of the weaker ones and has a bit of opportunity, as the second highest seed Beatriz Haddad-Maia is a bit beatable. Katie Boulter took her down last month in San Diego en route to winning that title. I do think the Brazilian is overdue for a good tournament though, so I'll pick her to progress to the last 8. Finally, back to some good entertainment, we have Aryna Sabalenka section with Simona Halep playing Paula Badosa for her first match back since being suspended. I do not expect much from Simo. She hasn't played since the 2022 US Open, although I am not sure if she'll even play Badosa, as Paulita loves to withdraw from tournaments right before it's time to play. Anyways, the winner of that match will face Sabalenka in the second round, who should clear either opponents either way. Caroline Wozniacki is a potential third round opponent for Sabalenka, although the Dane did have to retire from her Indian Wells quarter against Swiatek due to a toe issue. She also has a tough opener in Clara Burel. Annalena Kalinina, I do not know why she's still seeded. She hasn't done anything since Rome.
Yes, hey, Sierra girl, why are you in here?
One of Aryna's ops, Ludmila Samsonova, is up top there, and I think the Russian does have a solid chance to make the 4th round. Krejcikova is her projected third round opponent, but the Czech has not played since Abu Dhabi, skipping the last 3 1000s due to injury. I think a quarterfinal showing from Sabalenka would be really important for her heading into the clay season. She will be disappointed with her rather early exits in Dubai and Indian Wells. However, I think if she controls it and doesn't self-implode like she did in those losses, she should be fine. For my predictions in the quarterfinals, I have Iga Swiatek and Emma Navarro, Coco Gauff going against Kazakhina, Ostapenko Rybakina, and Haddad-Maia against Sabalenka. In the semis, I have Swiatek and Kazakhina facing off with Rybakina Sabalenka. In the finals, Swiatek and Sabalenka, with Aryna taking the title. I think Iga's biggest threat in the top half is honestly kind of between Camila Giorgi in round 2, maybe Noskova in the 3rd round, and then possibly Navarro or Pegula in the quarterfinal. If Naomi somehow makes it to the semifinals, I don't think that she has the consistency to outlast Swiatek. And then of course Coco could reach the final 4 too, and while she has beaten Iga before, I don't see it happening for her here. I had Coco falling to Kazakhina in that quarterfinal because for some reason that is not a good matchup for Gauff. She's 0-3 against Daria and hasn't even won a set over her in their 3 matches. I could see a lot of different people in that final against Iga. I was close to having Ostapenko be there, but then I realized how unpredictable she is and reneged. And I also had Rybakina initially take it all, but she's unpredictable health-wise, and I think it could take her a tournament or 2 before she gets back on track. I did ultimately have Sabalenka in her place because, for one, I think Aryna's draw is pretty solid overall, and 2, one thing about Sabalenka is she bounces back well from disappointment, and I think that she will learn from her mishaps and improve here in Miami. She's of course proven that she has the game to trouble and beat Swiatek, and although their last meeting at the WTA Finals was pretty lopsided in Iga's favor, I anticipate the Belarusian to come out guns a-blazing and keen for both revenge and to get back in the conversation of being the best WTA player on tour and #1 in the race. That's it for my prediction, and let me know whether you agree with me in having Sabalenka beat Swiatek to take the Miami Open title. If not, who do you think will be our finalist and champ? Leave your picks in the comment section below and subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post the men's tournament preview. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.